This is your Learn recording for adding force factors. With active viewing of this video, a student will be able to successfully meet the following objective. I can draw and add force factors to find the resultant net force. How do I add vectors? Here on the right, we see two vectors that are in the opposite direction, but have the same magnitude. The arrows are the same length because they have the same numerical quantity or magnitude. They are opposite in direction, though. How do I add vectors in the same direction? Let's start with this type of problem. If they are in the same direction, the steps are the following. A, sum the values. Okay, so let's take a look at our vectors. The first vector is 5 newtons right or east. The second vector is 5 newtons right or east. And we need to know what the answer is, the combined new net force resultant vector. A says sum the values, so A is 5 plus 5 equals 5, equals 10. So our new value for the net force vector will be 10. If they're in the same direction, we sum the magnitudes or the values, the numerical values, to get the new magnitude. B says you're going to draw the vector in the same direction. So my vectors 1 and 2 are right or east. And so that's the direction of my answer vector, my new resultant net force vector. And then C says make sure to match the length of your vector to the new value. So for C, my answer will be a vector to the right or east, but I need to make it twice as long because it's not 5 newtons now, it's 10 newtons. And then I label the magnitude with the unit above or below my vector. My answer is 10 newtons to the right or east. That's what I get when I add these two vectors together. And here we have the answer and the steps worked out. How do I add vectors in the opposite direction? If they are in the exact opposite direction, here are the steps. A says the vector with the absolute greatest value is the direction of my new net vector. Absolute greatest value. So that's 5 for vector 1 and 10 for vector 2. The absolute value of minus 10 is 10. So 10 is the greatest value, and it's in the direction left or west. So my answer vector will be in the direction left or west. B says, for an equal value, cancel vectors in the opposite direction. I have a vector right with 5 newtons magnitude. I can cancel a vector left with 5 newtons magnitude. So I can cancel half of this with my opposite vector. What is my remainder then? C says my remainder is my new net force resultant vector. So C is my remainder. If I cancel 5 from 10, I'm left with 5. So my resultant vector has a magnitude of 5 newtons, and the arrow is left or west. And I draw the length of that arrow to match 5 newtons. And here is the steps worked out for adding vectors in the opposite direction. Practice with adding vectors by completing some of these practice problems. Where will you be successful? I bet in each one of these if you watched and viewed the video.